Hello, did you miss me? I'm still here. The next chapter is chapter 10, field trip. They're going on a field trip. I used to love field trips. My class lined up to get on the bus for our field trip. I couldn't wait to see the Blue Angels up close. I hurried to the front of the line because that way I could be on the very top bleacher. I'd be closer to the sky and closer to the Blue Angels. Michael headed toward the back of the line. "Where are you going?" I called out. He didn't hear me, so I stepped out of the line to ask him. "I like to sit at the back of the bus," he said. "I can make faces at the cars following us. But if you go to the front, you can sit on the top bleacher." He shrugged. "So what? Don't you want to get the best seat?" Michael scolded. Okay, that's a new word for me. "It's the sky. We'll be looking at the sky." I left him and walked to the front of the line. Shelby Snodgrass scooted closer to know-it-all, raised her hand for every question. "Cammy, you can't cut," Shelby said. "I'm not. I was here a second ago." "Too bad," Cammy said. "You got out of the line." "But I'm back," I insisted. Cammy's hands flew to her hips. "You should have said, 'Save my place, please.'" "That's right, Piper," said Shelby. Miss Gordon walked over to us. "Is there a problem here?" "Piper is trying to cut in line," Cammy said. "Yep, that's right," said Shelby. Miss Gordon took a deep breath. "Sorry, Piper, you have to go to the back of the line." "Don't worry, we're not going to leave anyone behind." "But," Miss Gordon's eye began to twitch. She should probably see a doctor about that. It always seemed to happen when she talked to me. "Piper, we have to hurry if we're going to make it to practice on time." I went to the back of the line. I was sure glad Cammy didn't want to be in our gypsy club. When I reached the end, Michael shook his head. "The Blue Angels will be in the sky. There won't be a bad view." On the bus, Michael and I sat in the very last seat that made faces at the cars behind us all the way to the base. When we got there, we passed a jet in front of the Blue Angels headquarters. Oh, look at them. They're making faces. Everyone on the bus clapped. Yay! A man who worked for the Blue Angels met the bus, and we followed him to the airfield until we reached the bleachers. Michael and I sat on the bottom bleacher with other pokey kids at the end of the line. Haley and Nicole sat on the middle bleacher. Nicole was frowning. Earlier, she told me she didn't want to go on the field trip. She said, "I get migraines from loud noises and nauseous from having to look at the sky." Oh, I know about that. Yep, I get migraines too. Nauseousness. By the time our class settled on the bleachers, the Blue Angels pilot had lined up. Slowly, one at a time, they rode past us and waved. Everyone waved back, but I swung my arm so wide that I hit Michael in the ear. Oh my gosh. "Hey, watch it," he said. "Sorry." One at a time, they took off, soaring into the air. "Get off the bus," I yelled. No one could hear me because the jet's roar was so loud. The Blue Angels flipped, they crisscrossed, they pointed their noses straight up like rockets. I made up a name for each trick. "That's a split air spiral," I told Michael. "What?" he yelled. "A split air spiral." Just then, two jets, as if they were going to crash into each other, but a second later, one leaned toward the right and the other one towards the left. "Get off the bus," hollered Michael. Ah, he's saying it now. That was the first time he said that. He really was an official Gypsy Club member. I glanced behind me, and Nicole's hands covered her ears as she was closing her eyes. Yeah, they have this picture. Ooh, I've never seen them up close. I've seen them on TV. I should make a gypsy club rule that every member must carefully watch the Blue Angels. They shouldn't even blink. I turned toward Michael. He blinked. I quickly changed my mind about the rule. Smoke scribbled the sky. I imagined the stream spelling, Piper Reed. Practice was over too soon. Just as they had taken off, the pilots landed one by one. Then the announcer introduced them. When he called out the last pilot, he said, Lieutenant Commander Elizabeth Franklin. Lieutenant Commander Elizabeth, I repeated. And in that moment, I knew exactly what I was going to be when I grew up. Piper Reed, Blue Angel. We lined up again, this time to have our class picture taken with the flying team. Oh, how exciting. When it was our turn to stand in front of the jet with the team, I pushed ahead of Cami to be next to Lieutenant Commander Franklin. Hey, Cami said, you're cutting. But before she could catch Miss Gordon's attention, I told Lieutenant Commander Franklin, I'm going to be a Blue Angel when I grow up. She smiled. That's super. First, you got to work hard in school and read a lot of books. Standing by the Navy photographer, Miss Gordon mouthed, Thank you. Teachers always get excited when adults say things like that. As we headed towards the bus, I swung around and saluted Lieutenant Commander Franklin. I wonder if she even noticed, but a second later she raised her hand and saluted me back. Oh, she's so proud, look. That's their picture. So chapter 11, Captain Piper Reed. Monday night, Tori chose Chinese food and then some dumb movie for her special time with Chief. The next night was Sam's turn. She chose McDonald's, the zoo, and a pet store. When they returned home, Sam held up a plastic bag so I could get up close to view of the shiny goldfish swimming back and forth. Daddy says it can be all mine. Fine, I told her. I don't want a stupid goldfish anyway. She raced down the hall with her goldfish, slooshing to and fro. Before going into her room, she swung around and said, I named her Peaches. For days, I had tried to think of a special place that Chief could take me. But after my field trip, I knew what I wanted to do. Wednesday afternoon, Chief picked me up from school so we could go to the Naval Aviation Museum. We walked into the museum ahead of a group of old people. The men wore blue hats that said U.S. Navy or retired vet above the bills. I've never seen so many jets and airplanes inside a building. I closed my eyes and pictured myself flying them. I wore a uniform just like Lieutenant Commander Elizabeth Franklin. I was approaching the clouds when I heard my name, Captain Piper Reed. Piper? Chief put his hands on my arm. I've called your name 3 times. You must have been 1,000,000 miles away. She was daydreaming. Oh my goodness, look. Oh, that is so sweet. She wants to be. I was listening for my orders. What? Chief looked confused. Nothing. How would you like to see a movie about the Blue Angels? Yes, sir. 5 minutes later, we were sitting in the museum IMAX theater, watching the Blue Angels train and fly their jets. A pilot in the film said Blue Angels were Navy pilots first and foremost, that even though they loved performing, they couldn't wait to return to flying for the Navy. The best part was when the jet landed on a Navy carrier. Even before they showed what happened next, I knew the aviation mechanics would check out the jets to make sure everything was okay. I knew that since Chief was an aviation mechanic. I turned around to the audience and shouted, "That's what my dad does!" After the museum and film, we drove off the base to Pensacola Beach and eat dinner at the seafood grill. The hostess sat us next to a big window that overlooked the Gulf. A few minutes later, a waiter came over with our menus. "Pretty young lady you got there," he said. "Yes, she is," said Chief. "Got 3 more just like her at home." "Lucky man," the waiter said before walking away. But I wasn't just like Tori, and I wasn't anything like Sam or Mom either. I was nothing like them. Why couldn't Chief see that? After I ordered popcorn, shrimp, and French fries, she's getting me hungry, I announced, "I'm going to be a Blue Angel when I grow up." Chief's face broke into a big grin. "Is that right?" "I'm serious." Chief stopped smiling. "I believe you, Piper." "You do?" "Sure I do. You've always done what you set your mind on. You walked when you were 9 months old. We'll try to help you, but you'd push our hands away." My popcorn shrimp arrived on a plate with a mountain of French fries. Outside the window, the waiter glistened as the sun sank below the horizon. My chest filled up and my shoulders straightened. I was going to be in the U.S. Navy, just like Chief. Only I'd fly the blue skies and do flips through the clouds. Then, when I landed on the carrier, Chief and the other mechanics would rush over and shake my jet. We stared out the window. Chief and I laughed when a seagull landed on one of the tables, snatched a woman's rolls, and flew away. Oh my goodness. On the drive home, Chief headed in the opposite direction from the base. "Where are you going?" I asked. "You'll see." Chief drove until we came to a store's parking lot outside the commercial airfield. He turned off the engine and rolled down the window. The sky was dark except for the lights that lit the runway. We watched a jet take off. The roar shook our van. It almost felt like we were inside a jet. "Just think," Chief said, "that will be you one day." We'll point to the sky and say, "There she goes, Lieutenant Piper Reed." "Lieutenant? How about Captain?" Chief laughed. "Captain Piper Reed, you're an original." There's a picture. I'm afraid it's going to be... Chapter 12. I thought it was over. See you later, alligator. Chapter 12. We stood in the front yard waving goodbye to Chief. I wonder if Michael and Nicole were saying goodbye to their mom at that exact moment. Tomorrow was our second Gypsy Club meeting, and I had no idea what we'd be doing. Somehow it didn't matter. One of Chief's co-workers had picked him up in a Jeep to take him to the airport. The Jeep was halfway down our cul-de-sac when Sam hollered, "See you later, alligator!" I swallowed, trying to push down the lump in my throat. "He can't hear you." But just then Chief turned and waved real big and called back, "Ain't no wild crocodile." Oh, he heard. That's so sweet and sad at the same time because they're going to miss him. Sam jumped up and down. "He heard me, he heard me, he heard me." Well, we were rudely interrupted by my phone, who stopped the recording. So we were on chapter 12, and it says that Sam jumped up and down because Chief had heard what she said. "How long will Chief be gone?" I asked. And Mom brushed a lock of hair from her eyes. 6 months. She said the words so softly they almost came out in a whisper. 6 months is a long time, Tori said. "It takes 9 months to make a baby," said Sam. Mom's right eyebrow shot up. "How do you know that?" Sam sighed. Agatha Wainwright told me. She knows everything. I smirked. I thought you knew everything. Not like Agatha, Sam said. What else does Agatha know? Mom asked. That there's really not any vanilla in vanilla ice cream, and that the reason kids have bedtimes is because their parents are sick of them and need a break. Oh my goodness. Mom gave Sam a big squeeze. I'm not sick of you. Then she hugged me. Nor you. Then she caught hold of Tori's wrist and pulled her toward her. Nor you either. She took a deep breath and added, your dad will come home before we know it. Meanwhile, why don't you walk over to the store and get popsicles? By ourselves? I asked. If one of you holds Sam's hand, and if you watch out for cars. Normally, I would have said, get off the bus, but I didn't feel like it. Tori grabbed Sam's hand. I hold her hand on the way there. You can hold it on the way back. She was so bossy. We left our street and passed the officers' housing and the chapel. I could hear a jet flying above us, but I didn't bother to look. Soon we reached the little store that was near the school where Chief would teach when he got back from ship duty. At the store, we opened the freezer that held ice cream and popsicles. There were all kinds of flavors, strawberry, orange, cherry, lime, but all three of us chose grape. We never done that before. We always like to choose something different. Before we left the store, we threw away the wrappers. We hadn't been walking 2 minutes when I let go of Sam's hand. Yuck, your fingers are sticky. Sam burst into tears. I can't help it. Daddy always wipes them for me and with his handkerchief. The lump in my throat grew bigger. You made her cry, Tori snapped. I didn't mean to, I said. I grabbed Sam's sticky finger. It's okay. They're not that bad. By the time we arrived home, we're almost finished with our popsicles. The yellow sprinkler was shooting water around the yard. There they are with their popsicles. Ooh, they look delicious. A little spongy ball was on the dry part of the grass, just beyond the sprinkler's reach. Some neighbor must have dropped it there. Mom had left her radio playing on the porch steps, and we settled next to it while we finished our treats. Sam stuck out her tongue. I bet my tongue is purple. Yeah, I said, so is mine. But mine is purplier, Sam said. How do you know? I asked. You can't even see it. Mom cracked the door open. Her cheeks were rosy and her voice sounded excited. Girls, we already received an email from your dad. He said he'd arrived at the airport and realized he hadn't given us the new bathroom assignments list. Carl and his list. She laughed so hard that 2 giant tears rolled down her cheeks. Oh, yes, he also said, I already miss my girls. Mom went back inside, but not before Bruna slipped through the narrow opening. Oh, no. Bruna sat next to us on the steps. She looked like she was waiting for something important to happen. Bruna followed, and as I walked over to the ball. After she sniffed it, I threw the ball to the other side of the yard. Fetch! Bruna took off after it, her little ears flopping the whole way. Something inside me soared. Look, Bruna, those tricks, just like Kip. She picked up the ball with her mouth. My heart pounded. Come here, Bruna. Bring it here. But Bruna ignored me and ran around the yard with the ball, dashing through the stream of water. I should have known better than to get my hopes up. At least she knew half of a trick. Hey, listen, Tori turned off the volume on the radio. Johnny Be Good poured out from the speaker. It was as if Chief was sending his favorite song our way. There's a girl there singing and dancing. Whoa. And then, without even discussing it, all three of us picked our popsicle sticks and sang into them. Our voices cracked the words as we danced around the yard, darting in and out of the sprinkler aim. We probably looked silly to anyone who happened to be staring out the window, watching us sing and dance as we got all our clothes drenched. But to us it was magic, sister magic. That night I took out a piece of paper and started a list. I didn't know how to spell all the words, but everything on the list was true. Things I like about living in Pensacola. Pensacola is the home of the Blue Angels. That's number 1. Number 2, we can walk to the beach. Number 3, I started a new gypsy club. Number 4, we have a dog named Bruna who can do tricks, sort of. Miss Mitchell thinks I'm a pleasure. Number 6, Pensacola is where we'll be when Chief comes back to us. Number 7, sometimes when Tori is too bossy and Sam is not such a smarty pants, it's fun to have sisters who like grape popsicles the best too. I have now spread Get Up the Bus to another state. There are only 48 more to go. The end. And there's Piper Reed. Captain Piper Reed. Oh, that was sweet. We did it. We finished the book. All right. Oh, look at the doggy. Bruna. That's funny. That's a funny name. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the book. Sorry it took me so long. It's been crazy. But what can you do? So, until the next one. Bye.